Hello, wonderful world. Thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to Silver Fox Books. It's been a while since I put out a video, I realize, so it's about time, right? I'm a little bit overdue. I'm sorry, just life in general, things happen. It's been really, really busy at work. And then this week, I'm actually still getting over a cold, haven't been feeling all that great. But here we are, and never mind about all that. Let's talk about books because it has been a while. All right, so today I am doing a book review on this guy right here, and it is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. And I did not realize how many little notes I'll be taking. It ended up being quite a bit, but nonetheless, just letting you guys know in case you haven't noticed, I really did enjoy this book. There are a couple of things that bothered me a little bit, and we'll talk about that towards the end. But to give you an overall idea of it, I really, really enjoyed it. Okay, so let's jump into it because I think it'll take quite a while to get through all this. All right, so basically this book is about a girl named Tress, and she lives on a rock. And with going through all of my little sticky notes, you guys will pick up on all the details of it. So basically she lives on this rock, and then something happens to her, the love of her life, let's say, and she goes off on an adventure. Okay, so that's basically the gist of it. Let's go because there's so much I want to share with you. Guys, this book is not, it's fantasy, but it's so whimsical, and it's silly, and it's lighthearted. Please don't go into this thinking, oh my god, it's like a Brandon Sanderson fantasy, hardcore book. It's not. It's actually something that gives you a little bit of a break from the heavy duty fantasy. So if you need something lighthearted, if you maybe just need a pick me up, if you need something to get you back into reading, if you need something to roll your eyes at because it's just so silly, but you're giggling at the same time, this is the book for you. Okay, you just have to have this attitude towards it of this is just a good time, doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's really a fun ride. Okay, so here we go. So let's see. All right, oh, I have so many of these. All right, so Tress, her real name is Glorp. Sorry, oh my god, I can't even spell today. Glorp. People call her Tress because of her name. Now, guys, I actually did go and I did look up what Tress means, and I suggest you do it too because I was just curious and I found out. So, Mr. Brandon Sanderson, thank you for teaching me what that means. So Tress lives on a rock. Her landscape is basically black stone. It's rock, and there's black stone, and there's nothing there. The entire rock is made of barren black saltstone. The rock has a good sized town with a duke's mansion on it. Okay, that's that. Okay, and also this is a completely different world than ours, so you have to kind of use your imagination, which I'm sure we're all used to doing if you read Sanderson. The ocean in Tress's world, well, in right now, the ocean that's surrounding her rock is green, and the ocean is not wet. Just a heads up. Okay, there's no watery oceans like we have on our world. That's that. And then I have a tab here. It says, okay, so she has 12 moons, I believe. And this is one of the lovely notes or quotes or whatever you want to call it from Sanderson that I love. So because of all these moons, the locals worshipped these 12 moons as gods, which we can all agree is far more ridiculous than whatever it is you worship. I mean, come on. But whatever. It is what it is. There's so much of this stuff in here. It's just funny. All right. What else do I have here? Oh, this is another one, you guys. So the locals call this island the Rock. Its name is Diggins Point. And this is a direct quote, which I found funny. No one remembers who Diggin was anymore, but he had obviously been a clever fellow, for he'd left the rock soon after naming it and never returned. Like, love it. Love it. So um, this island and this sort of ocean sea that she's surrounded with, as I said, is not it's not water. It's sand. It's colorful sand, I guess you can say. And this sort of sand is called spores, and they're dangerous when they get wet, which makes it really, really difficult because humans sweat and humans sneeze and cough and humans cry and all this stuff. So people on the rock try really, really, really hard to stay away from these things. Or you don't necessarily have to stay away from it. You just can't like drop a single drop of water on it, or um, things will happen to you. So imagine breathing in this dust or this sand, if you will, and vines start growing out of your mouth and out of different places in your body. Could be very painful. That's basically what happens. It's like a bush or a tree or whatever you want to call it. The second like a drop falls, all these vines start growing, and if you're there, good luck. So they are truly deadly at times. Well, most of the time. You can get rid of them only two ways. One is with salt, and one is with silver. So any ships that travel these oceans, there is always silver on that ship. And then also Tress drinks a lot of salt tea, warm salt tea, because they all like that stuff from when they grew up, and obviously it keeps them alive. Okay, so the spores are like colorful sand. Um, and basically, those moons that I mentioned, they drop these spores upon their lands, okay? The spores basically, they fill the world's oceans. That's that. Also, I should mention that no locals are allowed to leave the rock. It's a king's rule, and once you read it, you kind of figure out why. Um, when I say that no locals can leave the rock, that means regular, normal people. If you are like the duke who lives in this mansion, his family, if you are anyone who works for the king, those kind of stuff, if you're a prince, princess, whatever you want to call them, of course, they can come and go, but the locals, they can't leave. Okay? I should mention that. What else should I mention? Let's see. Okay, so the spores fill the world's ocean, creating vast seas not of water, but of alien dust. Ships sailed that dust like ships sail water here, and you should not find that so unusual. How many other planets have you visited? Good point. Perhaps they all sail oceans of pollen, and your home is a freakish one. Again, just Sanderson putting in his Sanderson self, and I love it. So that's that. There's so much more. Okay. So Tress lives on this rock, and she is basically really happy with her life and really happy with the way things go. So here's one more. I have so much of these to read to you guys, and I'll try to get through them as much as possible. But I truly, as you can tell already, love this. So perhaps you were surprised to hear those last words. Tress wanted to stay on the rock. She liked it there. Well, where was her sense of adventure? Her yearning for new lands? Her wanderlust? Well, this isn't the part of the story where you ask questions. Like, this is actually in this book, and I love it. I love it. So kindly keep them to yourself. Like, so cool. That said, you must understand that this is a tale about people who are both what they seem and not what they seem, simultaneously. A story of contradictions. In other words, it is a story about human beings. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. There's so much. Okay, so let's talk about Tress for a few seconds. So Tress is basically the perfect daughter. She does have a little brother. My spelling is horrible. Instead of polite, I wrote plight. Don't know what plight means. Okay, but Tress is polite. She's kind. She's thoughtful. There was one part in here where she was talking about the girls in this town, and it broke my heart. It really did. Tress is just such a really, like, she's just above and beyond nice. And so these girls, they would make fun of her in this town. And Tress thought it was rude to interrupt them since they were having such a good time at making fun of her, that she wouldn't say anything. She would just let it go on because they were having such a great time. Like, this girl, man, this girl. All right. So she collects cups. She loves her cups. Sometimes the sailors who travel, like to do trade stuff like that, they notice her. They get to know. You get to know the townspeople. So they would bring her cups from different places. She also loves baking. When this story starts, Tress is 17, and then when she goes on this journey of hers, she's 18 years old. What else do I need to tell you? She's a really really poor girl. She makes her money by scrubbing the windows of the mansion. And then here's where the problems start. The Duke's son likes Tress, and Tress kind of likes the Duke's son, and the Duke ain't happy about it. Let's just say that. Yeah. So, moving on. So Duke's son is a whimsical character. I'll leave it at that. I'll let you guys figure that out. But because Tress, at this point in the book, isn't exactly, I don't know how you say it. The brightest in the love department, I guess. There's a quote that she says here, and I was just like, "Dear God, girl." But I have to read it to you because I liked it. Of course, I have to read it to you. Come on, guys. So, the son's Dukes. Okay, so this is a direct quote. She's giving him a compliment. So the son's Duke were not supposed to plop, meaning when you go sit down, they're supposed to be very dignified. So she says, one might therefore consider Charlie, Duke's son, to have been a young man of extraordinary talents because of his plopping. Like, come on. It's cheesy, but it's funny. It's kind of roll your eyes stuff, but I liked it. Okay, that's it. All right. So basically, one day what happens is that the Duke announces that the family is leaving the island. Unfortunately for Tress, Charlie is old enough to get married. So they're leaving because, well, they need to find him a wife. So at this point, Tress's heart is broken. So what happens is before Charlie leaves, he tells Tress that he will absolutely not marry anybody. He says that he'll be boring, he'll talk way too much, he'll be super annoying. He says to Tress the way that he will know, or she will know, if he hasn't married anyone, is that every single time that he annoys this princess that he's supposed to marry, or whatever you want to call her, every time he does something silly, or she just gets sick and tired of him, he's gonna send her a cup every single time that happens. Okay, so that's that. And then what happens is she gets these cups, but unfortunately, the fifth cup never arrives. Well, it does eventually, but it will get there. So the first cup that she gets, believe it or not, if you read any of Sanderson's books, which I have, our wonderful character Hoyd, which I'm sure that a lot of us are familiar with, he ends up in this book. Yes, he does. He actually tells the story of Tress. So you're reading this sort of through him, and it's really funny. So Hoyd is a cabin boy in this particular book, and he delivers Tress her cups, which Charlie has sent. And what else? So the fifth cup never comes. She waited for an entire year. The one day news came that the family was coming back with a daughter-in-law. Okay, so there you go. What happens is when the Duke arrives with his family, he presents his family, and he presents this Charlie. And unfortunately, you realize that the Charlie that's stepping off of this ship isn't the Charlie that Tress knew. So the story is that Charlie had an unfortunate accident, and the Duke has adopted this new Charlie into his family, and this new Charlie has a wife. So basically, Tress's love of her life has been replaced by this interesting fellow. Okay. So what happens is Tress finds out that Charlie was sent off to the sorceress. The sorceress is a very mean woman. She's somewhere in the Midnight Sea, and it's almost impossible to find her. It is the most dangerous sea of all to travel. Tress decides that she will go and rescue Charlie, and this is where the adventure begins. Um, so that's basically the gist of it at the beginning, and then you go through this journey with her. There is a part in here, you guys. If you've read it, you know it. If you haven't, read it, and you haven't picked up on it, read it again. There's the dart game that Tress's father plays when he goes down to the bar. And at first, it sounds like when he's playing it that they're all congratulating each other on missing the dartboard, and you're like, what the heck is happening? But then when the game is explained to you, I'll just leave it at that. It's just funny. What else is there? So Hoyd, he ends up on Tress's ship when she goes on her journey. I won't spoil it for you guys how she got on there and all that stuff. He's quite the character. The first line that he says to Tress made me burst out laughing. It's not anything like crazy, but like I don't know. It was funny and I enjoyed it. And Mr. Sanderson, thank you so much. It was plopped in there and it was great. And then the other characters. So basically, when she goes on this journey, there are characters in here that she meets, and those characters are Fort, who happens to be the quartermaster, who is deaf, who is the also the cook. He can't talk. He types out words on this magical board, and then they read it off of that. Anne is the ship's carpenter. Sally is the helmswoman, and then Hoyd is the cabin boy. He's also the storyteller. We have Ulam, who is the dead doctor. Yes, the dead doctor. I said that correctly. He's like a zombie, and he's their surgeon. We have Captain Crow, who is not a nice person at all. And then we have a Lagarde. He's the first officer and cannon master. So they're all pirates, which she comes to know very quickly. Oh. So, when she when Tress goes when her adventure starts, and something happens to her first ship, and then how she gets from one ship to the other was so amazingly done to me. I would have never thought of doing, well, maybe because I'm not in this world and it never occurred to me, but the way it was written and the things that happened and her walk was amazing. It was so intense, and I loved it. It was so well done. You guys should read it. What else? So basically, in this book, on her journey, Tress learns a lot about these spores, and if you get them wet, what they do. She learns that there's different kinds. She learns about different oceans, different colors of oceans, and then she goes and she experiments with these things. The things that happen is that every single ship has someone called a sprouter, and what this person does is, if you ever get attacked, or if the hole, like there's ever holes in the ship for any reason, Sprouter goes and pours water on these spores that you're not supposed to do because they're very deadly. But this person goes and does that, and as they grow, they use a certain type of spore to cover up all of the holes. And lo and behold, Tress ends up being the sprouter of the ship, and ends up doing this. And through that, she finds out all sorts of things that happen if you use different spores and you add this much water, that much water. So she does all of that. Okay. There's certain things that these people on the ship, at first they're like hardcore and they look like they're very I don't know, they just look like they're pirates, and then you get to know them and you realize that they're really good people. You realize one of them is searching for her father. She doesn't really want to be on this ship, but she goes port to port because something happened to him. I'll let you guys figure that out. And then there's one thing that happens in here which I thought was amazingly done, but again, roll your eyes, just funny. And it was the conversation with Sally and with Tress about who she was. I thought it was done so well. It was so clever. It was so funny. Like I enjoyed it so much. And I kind of wanted to roll my eyes at Sally and go, "Oh my God, like you're such an idiot." But at the same time, the way that Sally explained how she came to think that Tress is what she thinks Tress is just, it makes sense. So on one hand you want to say, oh my god, like seriously girl, but on the other hand you're like, okay, what she's saying actually does make sense. So basically they all determined that Tress is the king's mast. I'll let you figure out what that is, but it was just, it was funny. The other thing, oh my god, we're getting there, you guys. Okay, the other thing, there is a story in here about someone called the Tosher. I have no idea how to pronounce it. Right there, the Tosher. I don't know. Um, this is the most hilarious and gross job ever, I think. It makes you truly be grateful for any job that you guys have. It was like I read it and then I was like, I cannot possibly be reading this. So I went back and I read it again. I was like, oh my god, that's so gross, but it was brilliantly done. Thank you for that. That was great. What else? Oh, kudos to Mr. Sanderson. Listen, he drops Sazed's name in here. He's the one from Mistborn. Greatly done. Loved that part. I was like, who? What? Just, it was a one-liner, but it was great. And then he also said a name, and it was, yeah, okay, as if I can pronounce this correctly, but he said something like Cephandrius or something like that, and I was like, who? What's that? And then I went to look, and lo and behold, I found out. I ain't gonna spoil it for you. You guys do the research. You guys read it if you want to. But it's so cool. So yeah, so that's it. Loved it. Loved the jokes in here. There's so many more. I would make this video like an hour long if I did talk about it all. So go out, get it. It's great. Please remember, just do it with like a light heart. This is not a hardcore, like I said, fantasy book or anything like that. If you just want something just to relax, it took me 3 days to read this. It's what is it? 369 pages. It's super easy to read, you guys. You could probably do it in a day if you really wanted to, maybe two. Just, you know, life, groceries, cooking, taking a shower, that kind of stuff. Before I read, it takes time, you guys. So there you go. Only thing I want to say at the end is there was stuff I didn't like about it. Not like I said, this is a great book, so it doesn't really, you know, hopefully it doesn't deter you guys from reading it, because it really is great. But a couple of things in here I just want to talk about quickly. The first thing was, for the first little while, the jokes were great. They were hilarious. Like I said, they I don't know, for me it worked. And then at some point in time they stopped. About midway. And it almost felt like you were reading not a different story, it just, I don't know, like it sort of changed momentum, I guess you could say. Like it felt like it sort of lost momentum there. So I wish there was more of that. And yes, they, not that they weren't there, they were. It just felt repetitive. Okay. Second thing is the explanations in the middle of the, what in the world did I write here? The explanations in the middle of oh, yes. So, when you are starting a chapter or when you are in the middle of a chapter or whatnot, Brandon Sanderson sort of stops the story and then he puts just life's experiences in there. For example, one of them was he actually gave you a definition of what ironic means. I don't know if it was necessary to be there, and then he went on to explain things. Other things are just like life experiences or just stuff that I thought it made the book a little bit longer than it should have been. I think without those things, it would have been shorter and it would have been a lot more easier or a lot more faster to read or a lot more I don't know. I just feel like it didn't have to be that long. Okay. The other thing is the spores. Um, to be honest, you guys, we learn about the spores very early on. We learn about what they do, and then we learn about spores some more, and then we learn about spores some more. And we constantly seem to be starting from the beginning of what they do. And by the time we get to like Midnight Tress, I think it's what it is. It's called. I apologize. I hope I get that correct. I was just like, okay, that's fine. Like I kind of lost interest in it and what she was doing with it just because we kept experimenting and experimenting and learning and then stopping and then learning again. It just felt like it was a little bit of an overkill, so I wish that was explained a little bit less. And then okay, and then the last thing, and maybe it's just me, and I get where it's coming from because I get that this is not our world, and I get that different people come from different planets here, and they are different beings and different things happen. However, I think because the book started with her on a rock, and um, there's a mansion, there's a duke, and then there are pirates. It just sort of put me on a different mindset of it being sort of back in the day, or in a different world. And then towards the end of the book, you end up with computers and laptops and microphones and cameras, and I was like, whoa, like it just it didn't fit, I don't think, into the book properly. It just didn't go. But that's just my opinion, you guys. um it's just what I thought. Still liked it, still loved it, loved everything about it, but just that part at the end, I was like, what? There's a lap, like, wait a minute, there's like TV screens and monitors, and there's a mention of someone playing a card game on their laptop, and I was just like, whoa, 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 what? One, like, it just felt like, I don't know, it felt a little bit odd to me. That's it. That's all for me. This is so long, you guys, and I'm so sorry. I hope you stuck around. But honestly, please do pick it up. It is a great read. Again, Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. And I actually received this as a birthday gift from my brother, so I want to say thank you so much. Yes, it has been a few months since I got this, but finally I got around to doing the book review. Hope you go out, hope you get it. Have a great time reading it. Like I said, just take it easy, put your feet up, and just have a good laugh. That's it. All right. I hope you're all having a good day. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.